And as we continue to monitor what's happening over in Iran and this strike that the IDF says that they have just implemented in response to the ballistic missile strike that happened on October 1st. Let's bring in NBC's senior national security correspondent, Courtney Kube. Courtney, the big question tonight, what in Iran is Israel targeting or not targeting, and what do we know right now about what they've hit?
So we don't know a lot of specifics, but we are learning more about sort of the broad outlines of what Israel was targeting tonight. And the easiest way to describe them is they appear to be military targets. So for weeks now, everyone has been waiting and trying to figure out exactly what Israel was going to do to respond to this barrage of nearly 200 Iranian ballistic missiles that Iran fired at Israel several weeks ago. During that time, the three main categories have really been military targets, energy targets, and nuclear. It appears so far at this point that the Israelis have stuck to military targets. So the sorts of things that we should be listening for are weapons depots, storage facilities where Iran might store things like missiles and drones, the sorts of things that Iran has been targeting Israel with, and Iranian proxies have been targeting Israel with over the last year now, since October 7th. Those are the types of things that we expect that we will hear about, but it's not really clear if they went beyond that. Now, U.S. officials in recent days have been more and more confident that Israel's response here would be proportional. So think about what that could mean, Gadi. If it's proportional to the Iranian attack from several weeks ago, they may also go after ballistic missile launchers or the sorts of places, maybe airfields, that Iran was able to use to target Israel in that attack on October 1st. So again, we don't know yet anything more than the broad contours or outlines of what it was that Israel went after here. But at this point, it does not appear that they went after the other two categories: energy, oil and gas fields, the kind of thing that could really cripple Iran's economy if it was really targeted and attacked. And then, very critically, it does not appear that they went after any of the Iranian nuclear facilities. And why that is so important right now is Iran has made it very clear that if Israel were to seriously target any of their nuclear facilities, that would be considered the next step up in escalation. And then we would be talking about what Iran could be doing to then retaliate again back here, Gadi.
And again, so much of this is happening right now, and so much of this has happened just recently. So we are still painting the outline of what's been hit. We just got a note from our Tehran producer that is there on the ground from NBC, and they are saying that local reports are saying that several military bases in the west and southwest of Tehran were targeted by the Israeli regime's attack. Again, no specifics there, but very close to Tehran. There are also unconfirmed reports about targeting of the Revolutionary Guard, which would be a natural target for the Israelis. And so the question is, if this has been in anticipation, if the anticipation has been there for more than 2 weeks now, what would Iran have done in some of these bases? Would they have been hardening some of those facilities, and would they have moved possibly some of the weapons to different locations?
Yes, absolutely. So they would have moved. They could have potentially moved things like their aircraft out of the way. They could have done exactly what you just said: hardened some of their facilities, moved people out of some of those places, and then very, very importantly, some of their missiles may have been moved. But in addition to that, Iran has been readying for this defensively. So they could have gotten some of their air defense systems. I will say, if it does turn out, as it appears so far, that some of these strikes were closer into Tehran, this is not just about hurting Iran's military capability. This is also about signaling to Iran and the leaders in Iran that Israel can hit them near Tehran. This is if in fact that's what has happened here, that is a very symbolic strike. And why that's also important is, you'll remember back in April, so Iran launched off hundreds of projectiles, missiles, drones towards Israel. The majority of them were shot down. Israel responded by targeting right near several of Iran's nuclear facilities. And this may be another symbolic attack showing Iran that Israel has the ability to hit them as far in as Tehran. And why that's so important for our viewers to know is that's a real signal to the leadership that they can get them inside Tehran.
Yeah, a very powerful message, especially since so much of this conflict has dealt with proxies. Now, as we see if Iran is going to retaliate or counterstrike Israel, can you walk us through some of the defenses that Israel has? I know you've been doing some incredible reporting on the THAAD battery that the United States has sent over to Israel. What is that, and what are the defenses that Israel has in place right now?
Yeah, so the THAAD is now in Israel. Why that's important is it has the ability to defend against incoming ballistic missiles, and it takes them out in the terminal phase. The THAAD, the T in THAAD, stands for terminal. That means that literally in the final moments before an incoming missile is able to strike, the THAAD battery fires off an interceptor and takes it out. It's a kinetic kill vehicle. That means it doesn't have a warhead on it, the interceptor. In fact, it literally just slams into the incoming missile with the idea that it's going to use that missile's own warhead or explosives to blow itself up. But it's not just that ability. Why the THAAD is really important here, Gadi, is because the radar system that deploys with the THAAD battery has a huge range. It can see something that's coming hundreds and hundreds of miles away. It has the ability to really give Israel a heads up. Hey, there is a missile that was just launched off from Western Iran, and it's coming, and this is where it's projected to land. So Israel already has a huge air defense systems, but now the U.S. has shored it up with this THAAD battery. But not just that. Since April, the U.S. has also surged in additional military capability to the region in the form of additional manned aircraft, additional personnel, and more ballistic missile defense ships. Now, you'll remember when Iran attacked Israel now on October 1st, so several weeks ago, the U.S. actually did launch off several interceptors to take out some of those incoming missiles. Israel is very well defended right now from an air defense perspective, but the hope here from U.S. officials is that this is not going to be another back and forth, another tit for tat from Israel and from Iran, and that hopefully if this is more of a proportional strike by Israel tonight, that it may just end here.
And Courtney, I wanted to ask, and I've been wanting to ask you this for a while, what did we learn from the defensive capabilities that the Israelis had, and as well as the ones that were deployed by the United States in that first ballistic missile strike? Ballistic missile strikes are not something that happens very often, so the defensive capabilities somewhat are untested, if I understand correctly, until something like this happens, right?
And I have to say, you know, I feel like people may be becoming numb to the fact that there are a lot of advanced air defense systems that can take out these ballistic missiles. Gadi, this is a very precise science that's going on here, okay? So think about it. The word ballistic, that we hear that often, ballistics with gunfire. This is literally a missile that's going up to take out a missile. Think of two bullets trying to take out a bullet with another bullet. They're big bullets here, but still, that's the basic science of it. It is very difficult. It is not always, and it's not always successful. You'll often hear about in an air defense system, in a huge attack like this, that the air defense systems will fire off multiple interceptors for every incoming missile. So one thing that has really changed over the last year or so, since this back and forth, is that people are talking much more openly about concerns about the interceptor stockpiles. You know, if you have hundreds of potential incoming, and remember here, this is not just about these Iranian back and forth. Israel has been under attack really on a daily basis from proxies, from the Houthis, from Hezbollah, from Hamas. They have used a tremendous number of interceptors and air defense systems, David Sling, Iron Dome, in the last 13 months or so. There's a real concern that if this back and forth continues, we're going to be talking about depleted air defense systems. The interceptors are difficult to make. They are expensive. And again, the Israelis and the U.S. have been using a ton of them. The U.S. has also been using a lot of these interceptors against the Houthis. They're firing off from Yemen towards Israel. The vast majority of them are getting stopped over the Red Sea well before they get to Israel. And most of the time, they're being stopped by the U.S. military, Gadi.
Yeah, Courtney Kube, your expertise on this is always so astounding. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we'll check back with you in a bit.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.